iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, David Hall.
Hello, hello.
On today's show, is iRacing still worth it in 2026? A trip to the Conspit factory. What sim accessories does a pro driver use? What was the real reason for the price increase? Should time trial rating be replaced? And what is the ideal sim racing display setup?
And remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. We hope to see you there. So, what do you do when you're retired? Well, you run 84 races in 1 week. Isn't that right, Mike?
Boy, howdy. Yeah, we got a guy, Don Jordan, who apparently has ran every single NASCAR Legends 87 race at Talladega this week. Every single event around the clock, 24 hours a day. So 7 days straight, Monday to Monday. He didn't miss a single race. Don Jordan is a man in his 60s. And this was pointed out by our good friend Dale Tanhart, who put this on Twitter. He said it's the greatest, most psychotic story on iRacing, and it needs more coverage.
What? When did he sleep?
If you look in the comments or the replies, Dale Tanhart went to say that 10 to 15 minutes in between races was when he would catnap and basically survive during that time.
You could also, I guess, if he got wrecked out early, go ahead and crank it, take a longer nap.
Right.
Yeah, that's a race. The math works out. That's every 2 hours. There's 160 hours a week. 168.
I always preach iRacing in moderation. And this is like the opposite of that. Look, is this guy going to burn out quick? Yeah, he is. I mean, he's not even sleeping or eating, So it's like, okay, it's kind of a neat, thing. I don't think you'd want to do this on a regular basis, though.
He moderated it. He had 15 minutes of moderation each time.
Well, this is one of those things you do to say you did it, kind of like you climb the mountain because it's there, right? I don't think this is going to be his habit, but it was a goal. Just kind of like a marathon runner is not running a marathon every twice a week. Once they run a marathon, they're pretty wiped for a long time and have to retrain up for it.
Or the streamers that do a 24-hour stream, things like that.
Yeah. Yep. But good on you, Don. I need my sleep. Now, for the record, sleep messes your health up if you do this on a regular basis. I mean, so don't make a habit of having bad sleep, but doing this for like a special milestone, that's pretty cool.
Also, kudos to the passion for iRacing as well.
Look, I'm all about iRacing as I go into retirement. As I age, I see myself racing far into the future. I see myself building a rig that's going to be very satisfying as I go forward. So I have long-term plans myself, and so I don't think I'll ever do what Don did, though.
There's some nights I wonder though, like you're on for a good chunk of the night though.
A couple hours, sometimes longer, yeah.
And then there was that odd time when David used to, in the summer times.
Oh, especially during COVID. We were out of school for 6 months.
So I remember not this summer, but previous summers, David, when you were band director and you'd be off, you were racing all day long. Like, yeah.
All right. So the question posed on the next forum post is from Brandon Figliolia. I just slaughtered this name, Brandon. Sorry. I think you actually listened. He races the Winter Series with us. He states that it seems like the tire wear for the Cup car was a little excessive. And if you want to compare it to the way the real race was, yeah. But it was nice.
Was it a tire race? I didn't get a chance to race with you guys.
Yeah. Like before I really knew how bad the tire wear was, the first A Open I ran, I went hard because usually, I mean, I went not hard, but I didn't go like super tire saving because I can't go. I'm not particularly good at not tire saving because I'm just slow. Um, but yeah, I blew out a tire in 60 laps in the first day open. I also that's why the next time I went with the ultra loose setup instead of the super loose because it was still tight. But yeah, the tire wear was really rough. Once you had 20 or 30 laps on the tires, you wanted new tires, and almost everybody was being forced to pit when their tire meatballed instead of when they were out of gas.
I was gonna say this kind of sounds like, I can't remember which podcast this week, but it sounds like the tire you guys had was what the tire that Goodyear didn't want to bring to the track because of it actually excessively wearing.
Look, that's what I was going to say. Is this a forum post celebrating the fact that we have good tire wear at Iowa? Because it should be a celebration because this is what NASCAR fans are begging for. We need tire fall off like this
I don't
in
think
real NASCAR.
Sorry, I don't think Brandon is celebrating it, but if you look at the replies, a lot of people were, and saying that they wish the real race had was closer to this as well.
I guess it's just,
Oh,
is Brandon making this post because it didn't suit his driving style, maybe, or something? I don't like. It's just the way he wanted to attack the track.
I don't know. I can't read his mind. He'd have to answer that. I don't. But compared to real life, it was a very severe wear out. So he's accurate on that. It didn't match the tire wear at any other track
okay.
or Iowa. So he's accurate in that point.
So is he
But it
asking
was cool.
iRacing to harden up the tire and give me the same garbage that the real NASCAR drivers are racing and we don't have tire wear? That'd probably suit me.
It would definitely suit you. I can't answer that. I don't know if he didn't like it or he just thought it wasn't very realistic. I liked it, but yeah, I agree it wasn't very realistic compared to what the real guys had.
So what do we want in NIS? What would be our choice? Do we want the tire wear, knowing that the real NASCAR drivers don't have it, or do we really want to match what they're doing? Part of me wants to say, look, I want to match what they're doing. If they don't have tire wear, we shouldn't have tire wear.
I want competitive racing. Tire wear makes competitive racing, though. I don't want
But then you're not simulating everything.
But we're not. You're not technically simulating anything. You don't have G forces. You don't have load on the car. You don't have the things that tire. You can't feel a tire.
I'm split literally in my own mind on this question because I agree it should be close as can be to the real guys, but it was nice on the same token. It was easy for me. It was easy for me to adapt to, but I agree. You probably want it to be closer to what the real guys have. But for me, what I really want is for the real guys to have what we had.
Right. Are we finally at a point where everything's gone in a circle enough where NASCAR should be modeling what iRacing is doing?
Yeah, well, the problem is the NASCAR one's changing from week to week because of what Goodyear's trying to do with tires. What they're trying aggressively to try and change some of the rules with the car and take some of the air out of the car. They gave some horsepower. Like there's iRacing doesn't make the changes in as fast as sometimes NASCAR does. It's kind of got lucky that there was a tire wear for it this week for you guys, I guess.
All right, we've got another guy going Well, I don't know exactly what happened here, but we've got a complaint about somebody doing some shenanigans on the track and then being right back on the track 20 minutes later. But I'm not. Tyler responds to it. Tyler Hudson, but boy, it sure is frustrating when somebody does something super egregious, where they're just trying to ruin as many people's race as they can. Let's see, what does it say at the top? Driver loses control, goes into reverse, and intentionally parks his car into oncoming traffic, causing a pileup. And then he starts ghost driving. Hits me in a frontal collision. What does he mean by ghost driving here?
Well, the way I read this thread is the guy expected the guy to be parked and he didn't get parked, basically, and he provided video proof, right? But I think, we beat this horse dead already. Okay.
I'm
So
watching the second replay, and this is not as egregious as he's trying to make it out to be. At least not at the beginning of it. The guy looks like he's not able to get it in gear. You can hear him revving the engine. So I don't think he was sitting there trying to cause a pileup.
I thought it was interesting we had a staff member weigh in on this because normally staff is like, we're not going to talk about it. When it comes to protesting and that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to read everything that Tyler wrote, but I am going to read a paragraph or so.
Before you read that, I did watch the second half of the video, and I take back what I said. After he sat there for a while, what the guy meant by ghost driving, the guy just started driving backwards on the track and drove right into a guy on purpose.
Right. So I guess to the ops point, why isn't this guy sat down? Why is he still racing 20 minutes later? If it's really that egregious that you just said
Well,
driving backwards on a track.
20
It's only
minutes
30
isn't a,
seconds. Watch it.
20 minutes isn't a long enough time for a protest. You got to talk about like 24 hours later, Mike.
No, he's saying 20 minutes after he got the email with the result.
Oh, okay, my bad. I missed that part.
All right, let's go into the quote from staff. Quote, I can assure you that penalties are being handed out every day, but I also think it's important to keep the scale of the service in perspective. There are thousands of people racing at any given time. A few months from now, there will still be thousands racing, and many of them will be newer members with little or no protest history. That cycle never really stops. I'll phrase it another way. The SR system and protest system are a big part of why we can have structured competitive racing with thousands of people every day. Have you ever raced online on other games with hundreds of people and consistently came away feeling like you just participated in a real race? Maybe, but outside of leagues or private racing, I think that's pretty rare. On iRacing, we get that experience remarkably often. But, he has a
The
point.
guys I'm racing, maybe this comes back to fast track because I'm only racing, other than NIS, I'm only racing A series. So that guy's, I mean, maybe he doesn't have much of a history, but again, I don't buy the no protest history thing because, like I said, I had a guy hit me 3 times. I sit in the protest. This is the third time this guy has intentionally wrecked me, and he was still racing the same week. So, yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, maybe they need to open up the consequences, or come up with a more tiered system. We said it several times. I think instead of it just either a warning or you're off the whole service for a week, get them out of the thing that they were running and make them go run a smaller series for a week. I think that would actually teach more than just a full on ban to begin with. So horse beaten properly. All right, I think this
Every
next
week.
one's up. I think this next one, well, that's got to tell you something. But moving on, G Petrix has a new speed record somewhere, and this looks like your kind of thing, Mike.
Yeah, I thought, we should talk about this a little bit. They did have the event at Mount Washington over the weekend. Um, the weather cleared enough where they were able to get to it in the late afternoon. But yeah, record is beat. I think Travis Pastrana held the record for the longest time. Scott Speed put up a new record in the Subaru at a 5:11.8. 5:11.8's cooking, but you also want to, when you think about comparing that to iRacing times, remember in iRacing we have that portion of the track that's still dirt. So there's a portion of the mountain that is in a dirt track, not paved. Well, in the real track, it's actually been paved. So when Scott Speed did the 5:11.8, he didn't have to drive through any dirt. And so I would imagine if we didn't have dirt on the Mount Washington track in iRacing and we had a rescan, which I really want, and it was all pavement, we could smoke that number. We could get below 5, I think. For
Here's a
some reason,
question:
it seems like the
I don't.
iRacing cars are faster than real life.
Was Pastrana's record on all pavement or also on dirt?
No, I think it was his was when it was dirt, like when we got the scan. That's when
So
Pastrana's
should that
record was.
record basically be locked into history?
So it's a dirt.
No,
It should be that track configuration record. It's
right. It's a
locked
different
that way.
configuration almost, right? Yeah.
Um, do you honestly think they're gonna rescan this, Mike?
I don't. It's not popular enough. But look,
It's just a
I've
well.
been
There's
begging for
nothing. There's
Pikes
no
Peak.
events for it though, besides time trials, right?
Yeah, this event happens every 2 years or every
No,
4 years.
no. I'm just talking in general in iRacing. There's no way of make. They don't have an event for it. They just have time trials, right?
Well, Hunter McCall does a league kind of situation with Mount Washington, and if you guys find that guy in Discord, they are always putting up events and practices. They group together on a Sunday at a certain time and run a particular car up the mountain and kind of race each other's time. So there are leagues or a league I know of that does it. I haven't got involved in it. I'm following their Discord, but I do want to get involved.
You know what the crazy thing is? Watching from the beginning of that video where he's coming down through the that windy bit, it looks like the road's like it's just like laid on top of the rock.
Yeah, they didn't prep it. They just laid down a road, right?
It looks so sketchy. See, this is the only thing that we don't have when we're doing it on the sim is you don't have the fear factor of going off the cliff and dying.
And I watched Scott Speed's, getting out of the car afterwards and his interview, post race interview and stuff. You could see it in his eyes that it shakes him to his core. Like he was talking about the amount of ultra focus I had to do. That was the most intense thing I've ever done in a race car, is what he says.
Well, just
Because your life is on the line, just like you said. One wrong move, Greg, guess what? You're going flying.
well, if you miss a brake marker, like in
You're done.
on a road course, you go off into the dirt. On there, you're going for a ride.
You're wrapping around a tree or you're going off the edge of the cliff, right? So look, iRacing, please give us Pikes Peak and give us a rescan of this track too, Mount Washington. Look, the excitement is in the air because of the new track record by Scott Speed. Now's the time. Let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's do it, and at least announce a rescan or, hey, we're going to get Pikes Peak and we're going to do this or that. I love the point to point racing. And look, this is the only track we really have it on in iRacing that's like a point to point, that's not in some kind of loop that comes back to the start finish. And so I want more.
If you like the point to point games, why don't you get the dirt rally games?
Maybe after motion.
The next item, TT rating should be Q rating. So Matt or Empty Box has an off the wall thought, and he says get rid of the time trial rating and instead replace it with a Q rating, basically I rating, but only for qualifying. Split the field on combined total of the two ratings instead, or maybe weighted with a little bit more I rating and a little bit less Q rating. No.
Wasn't
Why?
wasn't
No.
Why no?
But TT rating was back in the day was more for, solo trying to move your rating up or your safety rating up and just testing stuff, right? That was like the original reason behind it.
Do you get more I rating, or do you get more points in any racing because you qualify better?
Nope.
Or do you get points based on where you finish in the race, or at least the stage
finish.
points? Okay, so yeah, qualifying just because you happen to be a good one lap driver should not have jack shit to do with your regular I rating. That's what he's saying here.
So he wants you to get a little bit better. Okay, so you're saying that he's interpreting as he wants to get extra I rating because he can pull a one lapper.
Yeah, he wants a qualifying I rating and to be a part of the overall I rating that splits the fields.
No, wait a minute. So if I have a low I rating, but I can put up a real fast hot lap, how is that to my benefit? To bump me up into a higher split? Is that a benefit?
If you want more points because you have a higher strength of field.
So vice versa. I have a high I rating, but I choke in qualifying. Is that a benefit or not?
Well, you
I'm
should be in
trying to get
bottom.
into low split.
You should be in bottom
Lower
split.
splits.
You should be in
You'll
bottom
lower
split if you don't if you choke in qualifying.
There's only 4 replies. I wonder if anybody else agrees. No. Yeah,
I just for me the problem with this plan is people would do the qualifying based on what the outcome they want. Oh, I want to get into a lower split, so I might have a chance to win.
Yeah,
A
then
better
you're going to run
chance
into
to win. Or
all kinds of tanking, right? Or
right.
sandbagging.
It's too
Anyone
much.
anyone figure out what Matt's racing style probably is in iRacing?
Well, it's a neat idea, but you threw it up on the wall, and I don't think it stuck.
Based on Matt and what I know of him, empty box, he's a very laid back racer. He's not.
I just feel it just sounds
crazy.
like why would if you're pushing for that, is he like a hot lapper?
I don't think so.
It's just kind of odd that he would be pushing for it. Then it's like obviously the time trial rating or TT rating bothers him.
All right, Greg, you can watch this next one and tell me what you think of this guy's seating position.
Well, tell me who he is. I don't even know who he is.
This is Juan Thornhill.
Safety, two-time Super
He,
Bowl
he looks
winner.
pretty small, yeah.
Everything in his room. And what kind of what steering wheel is that?
Ace Attack.
That's really nice. It's his setup is perfect. I really good.
Not exactly. I mean, the equipment, yes.
Look, the seat positioning. Look at his legs. He's not even bending his knees, and he's not bending his arms at the elbow. And you can tell he's on a seat slider. Seat's all the way back. He just doesn't know enough to move the seat up, I think.
Yeah. And they already say that in the comments for sure. Yeah, need to be a little bit closer so that you've got so you can actually engage the muscles a little bit more. I think he's probably thinking this is super comfortable and relaxed, but in a long race, it's not going to remain super comfortable and relaxed.
He looks tense. He does look tense.
What about that fancy camera right above the center monitor?
It's a good streaming camera.
A Podium 1 rig. All Ace Attack equipment, looks like.
I do like that rim. That's a nice rim.
Is that a Gomez rim?
Okay, so there's a South American Olympics. So it probably involves mostly Spanish-speaking companies along with some Portuguese. And they're now including esports in the Olympics, in their Olympics, and that's basically what this guy's talking about. I did give it a listen without translating and was able to make most of it out. He was pretty excited about it. There's going to be several. They're fielding a team from Argentina, I believe, for sure.
Yeah, how cool is this? To have sim racing involved in the Olympics. I mean, I could kind of see how this could play out, like kind of like at the final Coke race where you bring 4 drivers into a room and you put them all on the same rig. I think it would only be fair if you all had the same equipment.
See, Mike, the only thing that I've always been worried about with all that stuff, Mike, is what happens if the internet goes dead, or like what if something just happens where how do you it's I don't know. I just
Mike, does every baseball team have to use the exact same bat in the Olympics?
Probably, yeah.
No, they don't.
they just need to what they need to do is have specific rules for certain things that they be using.
So I can bring a bat with cork in it, or I can bring a wood bat, or
But
there's some regulation.
But you don't have to
There's
buy. You can
definitely
buy your
regulations,
own.
but not everybody has to Not everybody has to just use a Fanatec bat. They can go Cinecube or
Could have said Louisville. At least you would have sound
Well,
there.
yeah.
Louisville.
Well, I was making a comparison because
I
we're
know.
talking about sim gear.
know.
Don't criticize my semantics. Yeah, you don't have to all run the exact same equipment.
But you're not going to say
just the opposite.
But somebody's not going to be in a motion rig, and then the other guy's going to be in a, an old or a Fanatec CSL Elite type thing.
Yeah, look, everybody brings their own rig. I bring my motion rig, and you bring your play seat rig.
Which
and we're
tie
all
is
comfortable.
it? Which tie is it that runs the G29? Majeski? He would probably be pissed if he couldn't just run his G29, to be frank, because he's good on it.
It's neat. I'd like to see this in North America. I mean, this is South American Olympics. Let's get this in Europe. Let's get this in North America. Let's get esports involved. I love it.
What's the next? Would it be a summer? It would be a summer Olympics. So, would you do it? 2032 is the next one after the next closest one.
Well, so this is like a regional Olympics they're doing.
I know. I'm thinking bigger, Mike. I'm thinking bigger.
I
would
don't
call
think
it
we're there yet.
Continental, not regional. It's a whole continent. There's just not as many people living there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. We have Shift Arcade, Mike. This is a TikTok video, so you got this one.
It's a view of Shift Arcade, and they show off their facility with their different rigs and whatnot. Looks really nice, the equipment and stuff. I see Recaro seats. I see, aluminum extrusion rigs, like high-end ones. Triple monitors. Looks like maybe I don't know what wheel that is.
They got dashes and everything on them.
Yeah, they're fully loaded.
Yeah, it's actually got Stream Decks, I think.
So this is in San Ramon, California, and it's called Shift Arcade. Now, what's also unique about this setup is in the middle of so they got some rigs along the side of the wall that are motion, it looks like. But in the middle of the room, they have like 8 of them kind of grouped together.
Competition ones.
Yeah, so in between them, though, Greg, they have a 80-20 kind of rack that the PCs are on. And so they're back to back, these rigs, or front to front, you should say. And then the PCs sit on a separate rack that runs down the middle. It's kind of a neat design where they're using, aluminum extrusion to build a kind of a middle rack between the rigs that holds all the power and the internet and the cabling and the PC and so forth. And then the rig just kind of sits in front of it.
What kind of heat is generated in that area?
If you're doing an endurance race at one of these type of events, is there any way to do a driver swap on the same PC? That needs to be a feature added at some point, so you can do
Well,
that
you
in,
just would go.
in local
You could get
competitions.
out. You could get out and go to the replay, and someone could get in.
Yeah, but you actually have to change drivers, or you don't get
Get
or
out the
you get
Oh,
minimum,
sim,
minimum
sign in,
I
time.
see
sign
what you
out.
mean. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So that would be a neat feature for iRacing to implement. Like they have a system maybe before the race. You know how you have to be in the team or register as the team and this and that. Well, if you're going to use the same PC, they have a button you can push where you log in as the both drivers. You log in, your secondary driver logs in or something, and then from that point forward, it allows you to switch drivers between those two on that without stopping the sim, without logging in and out, so forth.
I don't see how
I did.
that's.
I
I
did.
don't see how that ever could get exploited, or
Well, that's.
someone,
I just thought of the exploit. All these guys who want to just run one by themselves will just run their Smurf account. So
or they have to they put a
I,
slow
I, I
or they
really should
have
just take this whole segment out.
or they should have a a slow guy. They have a slow guy on the team to get their I rating down, and then the fast guy just uses his login.
If there was some way to do it in comp in a local competition, I guess what you'd almost have to do is have twice two rigs for each team, so that they could log in next to each other and swap
Well,
back and forth.
the thing is, there if you're racing from, like, say if you do the competition at that place, but you're because you're not race none of those at any of those places are you racing. You're not racing official accounts anyways, right? So you would just be, you could manually score it if you wanted to put the person in and out of the car.
Actually, how does it work at the competition when Jorge and them do it? Do we aren't we logged in under our name?
No,
No,
Okay.
they're put in. It's I'm guessing iRacing has test servers for that. Like they're specific servers for that stuff.
Okay. So if it could be done in a way for public competitions, that would be cool. But doing it at home, definitely, that's a big open door for an exploit. We haven't had one of these videos in a while, Mike, but we've got a top 10 highlights. I watched a couple of them. A lot of good side by side racing. When I watch this, I just think about, boy, I wish everybody could race side by side like this. But the splits we run in, it just doesn't happen.
That Mustang battle is side by side at Sebring is crazy. It looks like it's in like a damp condition too.
why I like videos like this is it reminds me of cars I've forgotten about or I haven't raced in a while. And ooh, that looks like fun. Let's try that. That's what I like about this. It reminds me of, oh wow, the Skippy at the ring. Boy, that actually looks pretty fun. Or the Lotus 49 at Bathurst. That looks pretty fun too.
I was just gonna say these videos have gone away just like their promotions for special events.
Have they?
You're
Or
right.
we just not been covering them?
I haven't seen that. Normally, because I follow iRacing um, on YouTube. I haven't seen them in a while, but it could just be not on my algorithm anymore too.
I don't think they're putting them out like they used to. We used to get them religiously monthly. Um, and then we even got the ones, the not so highlights video as well with the bloopers or whatever. And you're right, Greg. I haven't seen them come out on a regular basis recently at all. It's good advertising for iRacing, though.
All right. Kareth has gone to China. He followed Nixon.
He did. He went to the Conspit factory in Shanghai, China, and interviews co-founder Edward. We don't have Edward's last name, but he's a Formula car driver whose passion for real-world motorsports heavily influences Conspit's design philosophy and hardware development. So I love this video. It's great to see a face behind the company, and to see their space that they work in. Um, they talk about how did this company start? Started with pedals. He was just a sim racer like us before this company started. He talks about how he wanted to have his pedals a certain way to replicate the stiff hydraulic feel of the formula cars that he used to race, and that's what led him to develop his first set of pedals. And then they talked about the company history from there. Um, where are they at now with um, all their different stuff, as far as their equipment and lineup of their products. Um, and he talks about, what's the Chinese sim racing market, there's sim racing growth going on. Forza Horizon apparently is widely popular in China. Um, and other platforms like iRacing are expanding rapidly.
So if you look around the video, he's actually driving around a cart with some of their equipment controlled by their
He
wheel.
made a go-kart out of it, yeah. With an actual force feedback wheelbase and everything, yeah. I thought that was kind of cute. But yeah, it's kind of neat, like I said, to get a face behind the company and understand, what their roadmap is and kind of, their history. When we've talked about ConSpit in the past, it's always been kind of a mystery. They just kind of came out of nowhere, and we knew they were Chinese, but we didn't really know much else.
Cool story, and you don't usually get a look inside Chinese factories, so that's pretty neat. It makes them look less knockoffy, I guess. And that's one thing I can say about Conspit is they have their own designs. They're not just ripping people off.
It's not a sweatshop. A lot of people, Americans, have this image of Chinese sweatshops. Where you have little Chinese kids, forced into building Nike shoes or something, right? But no, it's not like that. It's really nice. I didn't see any forced labor. I didn't see any children. So it looked like a nice factory.
All right, I wonder if this next guy got banned or not, Mike. Actually,
Well, TikTok, Kyle K. Rashes puts up, do you think this guy deserves a ban? If so, how long do you think it's deserved? And he shows a video here of Laguna Seca and the GT3 cars. And basically, they're dooring each other, David, like left and right, left and right. Looks like some grudges are made, and they're trying to take each other out, and eventually that's what happens.
well, this guy was a lap car to begin
Oh,
with.
really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was just a lap car, and he was just being extra difficult. And the guy even passed him clean, and then he turned around and came back and just started dooring him and running him off the track. Um, Again, like I said, this should be more than a warning, but maybe don't ban him from everything. Maybe just say, hey, you're not running endurance races anymore for a while.
So they're kind of going down the straight. They're side by side. The lap car doors him once, twice, three, four times, and literally forces him off the track. Very egregious.
Yeah, and yes, the sporting code says the blue flag doesn't mean you have to let him go. It's just a suggestion. But why? Why would you ever fight when in this kind of a situation? You're going to hurt yourself more than anybody. Unless the only thing I could guess is maybe this guy had a problem with him from before, and that's why he was holding him up. Maybe he feels like he's a letdown because of that car. I can't read his mind, but otherwise, when you're lapped down, don't make it extra hard. You don't have to just stop on the track, but once they've established position, back off and do a and get a clean lap. Don't fight side by side forever. Choose your battles.
But look, the guy who's on the lead lap, though, he sees the guy behind him in the mirror. Hey, I got to get by this lapper. What do you want him to wait?
Well, he didn't pass him dirty at all. The guy he passed him clean, and then the guy started just fighting him when he shouldn't have. After the guy had already established side by side position. All right, we also have an Overtake GG video talking about whether iRacing is still the premier sim racing platform. Is it still worth it?
Yeah, that's basically the title, and she goes over some, what is iRacing in 2026? What does it stand out for? What's good about it? What's bad about it? How does it compare to other simulators out there? And it's one of those type of videos. But she hits all the important stuff about what's good in iRacing: grip limits, thermal management, braking technique, hardware, visuals, VR integration, sound, best in class rain, safety rating, iRating, multiplayer, stewarding, special events, esports, a subscription model, DLC pricing. Uh, you know, Obviously that's maybe not a good thing, but the final verdict: if you prefer single player career modes, casual play, open world cruising, or on a strict budget, iRacing is not for you. It is worth it if you're a serious sim racer seeking 24/7 competitive multiplayer, clean racing, team endurance events, or top tier VR support.
So just like we hear people say all the time when somebody calls it a game online, hey, you're taking this too seriously. It's just a game. It's not just a game.
Right.
So
All those things I just mentioned set it apart, right?
yeah.
I think that's why I don't play other sims. I feel like I got enough. I don't there's so many things I can do on iRacing. Do I really need to download Rally like Greg was saying? I don't really feel the need to. I probably would have by now if I thought I needed it, but I really don't feel the need to try other sims.
All right. We've got us another controversy with nefarious tactics on Instagram. In this case, a collection of drivers that are, it is implied by the poster, are a part of a team or a collaboration, or were all intentionally dirtying the track before qualifying.
What do you mean dirty in the track?
They were all intentionally going into the in across the sand on a part of the track to drag debris onto the track.
What's the benefit? I don't get it. Wouldn't it
Uh,
affect them the same as everyone else?
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. For one thing, that I think the header and the voice is AI, because those are not Formula 2 cars. That's a sports car.
Yeah, so it goes on to say it's the COO of a setup shop and his buddies who are doing it. And then there's flashes of Reddit post where somebody has posted this in Reddit, and a lot of people are like boycott, ban, all these different things. Everyone's raging. But look, for me, I see him knocking the dirt on the track, but I don't see what the competitive edge is. So what's the big deal?
It's just downright dirty, pun intended.
Nice. Okay, title idea: Dirty Track.
It may not give them a competitive advantage, but unless they've prepared for it, they may know, hey, we know this is going to be dirty here. Not everybody else is going to be expecting it, so we're going to have a little bit of an advantage just because we know we're doing it. And a lot of other people who are not paying attention are going to come to that corner and wipe out because there's a lot less grip. So it definitely deserves some kind of consequence for sure. All right, next, I did give this a watch, and I know you did as well, and I think he hit this right on the money. DJ put out a video, DJ EJ, as he's called, put out a video with his theory as to why iRacing is having to to, after a long time, increase the subscription. And I think he's right on the money. Basically, he listed 4 types of income: subscriptions, new tracks, new cars. It basically, right? And what was the fourth one?
Hosted.
Hosted. Yeah, that's right. So we've talked, and he basically theorizes that there's just not as much new money coming in from new tracks. And we've talked in the past not about the money coming in, about how many people are buying the tracks, but how basically we've got all the major tracks, right? Or we've got most of them. So I think he's pretty much right on the money. There's probably just not as many people buying the tracks that are coming out. I have not been, I'm not buying all the dirt tracks, and there's no new stock car tracks really coming out very often, right?
Well, you get the one-off street courses, and that's it.
Yeah.
Only
So
because NASCAR runs them. That was the only reason we bought Coronado or Chicago, right?
yeah. So but we're running those. Those, even with those, there's not as many of them as there was. They haven't been putting out as many tracks. Why? Because we are at a saturation point. So we're probably, even though we're paying more in subscription now, we're at a point we're not going to be buying as many tracks from this point on. Right? If you think, especially for people who've been around as long as us, right?
So what I like about the video, David, it's not just a theory. He actually backs it up with real data. Okay, so I'm going to throw iRacing under the bus again, because with the lack of stats or statistics available in iRacing, he has to actually use a third-party resource. He used iRacingStats.net. Thank you, iRacingStats.net, for providing this valuable resource that iRacing should be providing to us already. But I digress. Using the stats from iRacingStats.net, he showed how he showed like some graphs of how much revenue each thing was taking in the past, like pre-COVID, and then how much is it this time now. And you can clearly see that the revenue from tracks, new track purchases has gone down. It's a downhill slope on the curve, and he surmises that by participation. He said, hey, he can look at the participation number at the track and surmise, well, guess what? These people are participating. That means they had to buy it. So I'll add these into the number, kind of thing. And so that's how he figured it out. But it makes sense. I mean, when they put out these tracks nowadays, they're not putting out a Spa. They're not putting out Nürburgring. They're not putting out Charlotte Oval. We have all the big tracks. And so it makes sense.
Well, and just looking at what he's saying there, to even regenerate some of the, like, you have to get like 30 to 35,000 people to buy a track just to recuperate the revenue for it, or what it costs to make it. Like, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
but you can offset some of that with subscription as well, because if they completely stopped supporting all tracks, they would lose a lot of subscriptions as well. So you have to amortize that, I guess. I would put that number lower. You should count subscriptions towards a part of the track, but I'm not saying that I shouldn't pay for the track. I'm just saying that they get some of their money back in subscriptions too, especially now that they've increased subscription price, right? But because they're not making as much money from track sales, theoretically.
Look, I'm all good for it.
Yeah, it's a good theory that is supported, like you said, by the data. And we've discussed it we've discussed the not as many tracks coming out part in the past ourselves, as well as we've just kind of talked about, well, what is there left to add, right? So yeah, he's on the money, I think, there. Pun intended again.
So look, if they need to increase or inch up the subscription price to make up for the loss they're taking on the tracks, that's okay with me. Look, we all know they're not ripping us off. This is not a company that's made for profit. This company was made so it can exist and continue to exist. And they're not going to overcharge us just to make more money. So they're covering the cost. I have zero problem with the increase because I know how they operate. I know that they're not doing it for profit.
All right, this next one, Mike, has to be one of the worst names for a town ever. All right. I wonder if they just have sleep issues or what.
What, the sim racing Naperville?
Yeah,
I think it's Naperville.
I see Naperville.
Naperville? Is that Illinois? I don't know. So anyway, we got another facility called the Sim Racing in Naperville, and we got some video here on TikTok showing it off, what it looks like, some of the racing happening on the rig, and whatnot. Pretty cool.
This one looks a little bit more diversified. They've got a bar, they've got lounges. So yep, they know that they're in the entertainment business, not just the sim racing business.
They have a competition to race for a Toyota Supra, and they have the actual Toyota Supra in the lobby that you can win. That's kind of a neat, like a contest.
That's an expensive price. Do they cover the income tax for it as well?
Sales tax.
Sales tax and income tax. You get a gift like that, you have to pay income on it.
Income.
Mm-hmm. If you get given a car, that's like you just earned $80,000. You have to.
Oh, so you have to put it in your taxes, in other words.
Yippers. All right. Speaking of giving money to people, we've given some of our money to the Sim Gaming Expo because we think it's worth it. It's coming up soon, September 18th through the 20th. That's what, 5 weeks away, right?
Boy, it is coming up. I'm ready.
Is the challenge series over yet?
It's not, but I did fill out the little Google Doc form proving that I'm with my flight information that I'm eligible in case I make it to round 2. But I have no idea if I've made it to round 2. Round 2 is August 23rd, and today's the 13th, so we'll know more later.
I might put that in, but I just don't see any way I'm going to qualify as many, unless it was just an outrageous number of people who are not going or qualifying. But I think the numbers are up because the numbers are up for the expo.
Yeah, your one was an outlier, David. I think you're probably going to have more people that are participating that are actually going.
Yep, the numbers are up. That's a good sign. So, all right. So I think the time trial is over. In fact, yeah. So I finished probably somewhere in the 200s. But we have that link if you did that you can fill out, and there also has the link to the official rules. Now we have some announcements. Quite a few new announcements. We got a sponsorship announcement from Sim Panel.
Button box type people. They do button box for flight, racing, and like truck driving.
I'm taking a look at some of the pictures. Yep, this is this cockpit that I'm looking at on the 4th page. That's like a commercial type flight, and so that's a yoke instead of a stick. Then yeah, a lot of nice button boxes. Flight sim control panel. That's interesting. I wonder if there will be any more of those Airbus type simulators like they had. They had an Airbus there. I'd love to see like an actual C-130 style cockpit.
That Airbus was crazy. Did you have you guys seen Moses' new farm stick that they've come up with? That we wouldn't have showed that on this, would we? I wasn't here last week.
No, you have to get that. You have to go on the farm racing podcast for that one.
No, I mean, never mind. Never mind.
No, I haven't seen it, but you're probably. I know you'll be excited to see that there because yes, it's the Sim Gaming Expo, so they'll have other stuff there as well. Another announcement. Alpine Sim Instruments. So it's a passion project. They did it, design handcrafted. They're handcrafted in the Austrian Alps. And
Alps.
it looks like it's flight. Yeah, that's right, Alps. That's flight sim stuff. It looks like.
It's like flight sim button box stuff. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Like
Special guest, Inside Sim Racing.
What's his name? Darren Ganji and his buddy. So nice to see them coming back. And then we had Horizon Hobby. Horizon Hobby, well, they're a leader in radio control, RC trucks, cars.
I was wondering when they might start bringing. Have you seen them racing these type of things on using sim PCs?
Right, you sit in the sim rig and you drive the remote control car around. Is that what you mean?
Because I've seen. I was wondering when they would start. Maybe they start having them be part of. Calling it, I guess, another sim type of way of sim racing.
Imagine if you could actually put two little GoPro cameras in the car, and slap on a VR headset, and
So
you
check
actually
this
look like
out.
you're on the track.
Horizon Hobby will be powering a massive 1,000 square foot RC racetrack on the show.
Did Mike just lock up for you, Greg? Yeah, I think we lost Mike. He is frozen and not talking.
I think we might have jinxed it when I said about the power, like if the internet would go down.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you, Mike.
Yep, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, so there's going to be a RC race course at the expo that we'll get to race on. That's cool.
You know, the one thing I've always I was just bringing back to the RC cars. I really wanted to get one of Ken Block's Gymkhana cars in these RCs, but they were so expensive.
So the next one is a special guest announcement. Smog Boggs. Smog Boggs is his name. And look, I got to admit, I didn't quite understand the picture I saw here. I thought he might be wearing some old underwear on his head, is kind of what I initially thought. But then somewhere down here, it says he dresses up like a pickle and he races his car in a pickle costume. So it's actually a pickle costume, not his old green underwear on his head. Sorry, Smog Boggs.
So whenever he's in a wreck, does he says, "Man, we're really in a pickle now"?
Oh, look, if he's going to be at the expo, I hope he wears his pickle costume during the expo. So people will recognize him, right? We got to come up with some pickle jokes when we see him, like you said.
Hey, Mike, just to go back one of those, that hobby one that was still on the site, they actually have cup cars that you can get there. So I wonder if we could race some cup cars around that track.
That's what it said. NASCAR cars 1/12.
We'll see if we can pickle their brain. All right, rolling
we need
on
a title.
to the next
Wait, we need a title with pickle in it now.
And next up, we have Rosefire.
Now this is the real deal. This is what you're looking for, like the C-130 cockpit stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that actually it does look more like that looks like a C-130 cockpit.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
it
that
looks
is
real, very realistic looking equipment. This is like full on flight sim, big.
I forget
time.
what the dash is called.
This
down
is
at
so
the bottom.
crazy. It's crazy what the sim world has come into.
Yeah, it's not quite exactly like the C-130, but if you look at that first picture,
He says in the description, David, he says they have modular lineups spanning the Airbus A320, a Boeing 737, DCS World, and Garmin G1000 configurations.
Okay, so that's not the C-130. But if you look at that second picture and you see the keypad, that's in a lot of that's on the C-130, a keypad just like that, where you do a lot of your nav computer type stuff and mission planning. Like you actually use that to program waypoints. You can assign the waypoints by call signs, where it's like a 4-letter code for certain air bases. You can also program cargo drops and stuff like that as well. Pretty cool.
You can buy the panel setups to make to build. It's like a piece together cockpit. Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah, if I had room for a separate rig, this would be cool. But
I've gone down a rabbit hole.
This
website's a rabbit hole.
I probably don't remember how to actually hot start the F-18 right now, because when I do it, I use my button box for all the keys, just kind of in an order. So I don't remember what they actually do. I'm gonna have to go back and do what you actually do inside the cockpit again. Pretty cool. What else we got? U.S. Coast Guard gaming.
That's a surprise. Coast Guard Gaming is going to show up as an exhibitor. We're honored to welcome U.S. Coast Guard to Sim Gaming Expo. They will be represented on the show floor alongside the U.S. Coast Guard Gaming team, a community of active duty members, veteran supporters who share a passion for gaming and esports, including a number of dedicated sim racers on the roster.
That's cool. I wonder if they might have any chopper rigs as well.
Are they going to try and be recruiting there probably too?
Well, the first thought that crosses my mind is, why is government tax money paying for these guys to sim race or to go to the expo?
Recruitment morale.
Okay.
You get your money back.
Next up,
just like you do with the Navy bands and Army bands and such.
So why did the National Guard sponsor Junior's car, right?
Yeah, recruitment for sure.
Next up is streamer Ultrasaurus, special guest. Ultrasaurus is a Canadian simulation streamer who truly does it all: planes, trains, trucks, tractors, and race cars.
Oh my.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, she's cute too. And
I was saying, welcome back. Was she there last year?
I don't think so. I don't remember her. This is the new one to me. I've never heard of her until I saw this post. But we'll have to check out her streams. I've been trying to
look at streams. It says to have her back. She must have been there.
I thought I had read that when I originally read it.
Yes, we're glad to have her back at Schaumburg this September.
Nice.
All right, now we have some events in iRacing.
Wait, you missed one.
Did I?
Sim Department is our final exhibitor this week that's been announced. Sim Department develops optimized software solutions for sim racing that are trusted and used all over the world. They are joining up with presenting sponsor SimCraft to create a combined exhibit space. Okay.
That's weird. I did not see that one.
They have Fernando Alonso on their front page.
I had to refresh. It was not showing up in my script.
Sim Department is the perfect software for me and my team. That's a quote from Fernando Alonso.
Ooh.
So now I'll talk about some special events. I guess this counts as an iRacing special event, though it's like more of a league type event, but it's a pretty large one. They're having over $1,000 of expected payouts, and it's essentially a 2.4 hour Daytona multi-class race. But I don't think the LMP2 is going to be in the class. It's got the GTPs and looks like most of the GT3s. You can run it as a single driver or up to 2 cars per driver. They're running at Daytona on Saturday, October 3rd. The payouts per class, $250 to first place. 150 to second and 100 to third place. Entry fee is $10 per driver or $20 if you're flying solo.
Man, that $250 is a good catch.
Yeah, that'll have the drivers that are like faster than William, and they're collecting those paydays. It's
Next is
interesting
the
that
Empire. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was going to say it's interesting that goes into special events, but cool.
And next up is Dirt Car Esports Empire State Showdown. We got a post from Tyler Hudson about the Dirt Car Esports Big Block Modifieds return to the Empire State Showdown at Oswego Speedway. Did I say it right, Greg?
Oswego? Yeah.
Is it Swego or Swego?
Oswego.
Oswego.
We need Chris here. Anyway, it's September 22nd through the 24th. Drivers will battle through 2 preliminary nights before the field is set for Thursday night's 100 lap championship feature with a $1,250 purse. Registration is now open with entries capped at 120 drivers.
And don't take my word for how to pronounce it, because we've already gone over a certain Toyota car that we can't agree on how it's said.
Toyota.
Toyota.
Entry fee 20.
All right, this event kind of snuck up on us. The Portimao 1000 is coming up. That's the classic sports cars in Portugal. It's at Algarve International Circuit. It's got the HPD ARX 01C, along with some GT1s and GT2s. There's 5 time slots since it's going to be a slightly shorter session. 30 minutes on the warm up, though. The race is 1,000 kilometers or 215 laps. It is a team event, 2 to 16 drivers. The DQ limit is 100, and stop and go is at 35 and every 20. There is a little bit of a BOP on the GT1 class as well.
I like the colors on this poster.
Starting Friday.
Then this week in iRacing.
Sorry, I had to get a sneeze out of the way.
Did we miss anything here?
Well, they got the special events. iRacing is at Richmond right now. It's been a caution fest quite a bit. Or I'm sorry, NIS is at Richmond. Then the IIS is going. Where are they going? Week 14 at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. DTM series is at Nürburgring, the Grand Prix, and Sprint Strike. So I think that's just a short track, right? That's week 6 of 8.
Yeah, just around the people.
Creventix is at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, the historic track. So is Creventix the historic cars?
No.
Okay. So that's the 24-hour series in Esports Endurance League, sponsored by Creventix.
Isn't this the one they changed to 24 hours so they can have their Le Mans race without really having a Le Mans race?
Nope, that's Global Endurance, which is
okay.
which is at Daytona next week. Not this week, but next week. Even though IMS is at Daytona this week. I don't know why they didn't line up the sprint schedule with the 24-hour schedule, because they usually do. Dirt 410s are at Knoxville. Dirt late models are at Volusia. And then there's a bunch of weekly series going as well. The FIA F4, didn't you used to run that for a while?
FIA F4, yeah. I might do that this week.
They're at Summit Point. Boy, I haven't been at Summit Point in a long time. For the Americas, they're at Winton for Asia, and Europe is at Arena or Scholaben.
I have one more topic that's not on the script, and that's iRacing's new app update for iOS and Android. Have you guys taken a look at their new iRacing app 3.0 yet? I downloaded it, installed it. It's slow to load. Like you click on series and you wait, you wait, you wait, you wait, you wait, and then it loads. And so, looking at some of the social media posts on the announcement of the app, everybody who replied said it was slow. So that's definitely a problem. It's much slower than the old app. It's a little bit different. I found one difference that was better. I went into the Ringmeister and went to future scheduled race events. And guess what? I can see what car they're racing next week. I could never see that in the old app. It would tell me, yeah, it's at the Nürburgring, but it wouldn't tell me what car it was. Now, at least I can see the car. Look, the other thing, I was kind of happy when I saw the announcement. I'm like, wow, they've heard us. They've built a new app. I open it hoping for the best. Statistics. Where are my statistics? How many wins do I have overall? Nope. It's the same as it always has been. There's no statistics. It shows you your wins by, category. No sum of the wins. I mean, come on, Irish. Are you going to put out an app? Give us statistics. Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Please mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. And of course, our website, iRacersLounge.com, for the show notes. We are in regular rotation over at Performance Motorsports Network, and get your merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop.
In fantasy last week, the real boys were at Iowa, and it looks like Cletus 45 took the win. Fat Boy, that's Tyler, isn't it? Fat Boy took second place.
Tyler Williamson.
Dollars and cents is third. Hey, look, Mighty Pin. I need to zoom this in. Can you read the rest of them? I can't see them.
Yeah, and then Boats and Hose is number 5.
Who was 4?
4. Well, no, 3 and 4 were tied, so that's how that works. So Dollars and Cents and Hey Look Mighty Pin are tied. All right, so Iowa, man, I was disappointed at the end of the race. It was a perfect setup. You had the kid on 2 tires. You got Seabell on 4. Seabell's coming. He's coming. He's catching him every lap. He's catching him. There's no way he's going to win this race. He gets to the back of this car and he's got the dreaded arrow push. He's got I can't get him loose by getting up under him. I can't pass the leader. The typical NASCAR bullshit where the car is garbage. I look, this is the second race in a few weeks we've seen like this where we have a faster car hunting down the leader and he can't get around him. I'm sick of it.
Can't disagree. The real question, though, is Iowa a short track?
We had this discussion in the chat. I think from a NASCAR perspective, you say it is. Most people would say a mile or less or short.
Depends on who you're talking.
The rule on the NASCAR side is half a mile only, except for Richmond, which was grandfathered in because it used to be a half mile. So Iowa drives a little bit like Richmond, but it's literally almost a mile. So
I thought anything
you call Dover a short track?
I thought anything with tight corners was a short track.
Okay, TJ.
Man, that was a hilarious discussion on short tracks.
I want my next fictional racetrack to literally be Talladega Paperclip. Okay.
Pocono straightaways with paperclip corners.
Straightaways, just 2 like 1.5 mile long straightaways with a Martinsville corner on both sides, and we'll call it a short track.
Can you imagine them blowing the brakes out on a place like that?
Mark Martin had it right last week when he was on Dell's show. they've got to take the downforce out of especially of the underbody, because now with the downforce in the underbody, it's there's nothing you can do because you can't get your downforce under the body when you're behind a car.
They really screwed up when they decided to put one single source pan underneath the car and get the teams to stop building stuff. It just it needed to be just a flat bottom without a diffuser.
Well, I don't think the single source is what's the issue. They just need to make it single source so they can't put downforce down there, because that's where they were spending all their money anyway. But they're like, all right, well, we'll give you this much downforce. We'll put the whole underbody there. They just take it away. Just take it away. Make it more like an actual stock car.
Get the spoiler off the front, and
Yeah.
and ride height rule. I remember back in the day in NASCAR, there was a ride height rule. Like you couldn't have your car but
The
3
monster.
inches off the ground.
Front up, ass down.
Well, that went away when they went to the splitter instead of the valence. Because with the valence, you could either wear out the valence and you could kind of choose your poison, whether you were going to have a better situation with the valence early or later. With a splitter, everybody's locked in doing the exact same thing, and that's putting it on the ground. That it has to be on the ground or you're slow.
So what's the other talk this week? A lot of talk about the Gibbs kid has no media savvy. Apparently, his winter interview with the media in the media center was a record 7 minutes short. Like normally, the winner and the crew chief and the owner go in and they have a thing with the media back and forth, and you get Denny Hamlin take a win, he'll be in there 20, 30 minutes talking, But yeah, Ty Gibbs got a whole 7 minutes before he got his ass out of there.
But my question is that's on the media too. Like, are they asking? Like, I listened to this week. They're talking to on a lot of podcasts to Ty about stuff, and then they're asking about it. Like, I get they want to talk about his mom and things like that too, but he was on the Kevin Harvick's podcast, and his interview there was 25 minutes long, and it was a pretty good interview.
I didn't see the after race interview, so I really can't comment. He was on the junior show as well and seemed like any other driver to me. So I don't know.
He just comes across as a young kid. That's it, right?
You remember how shy Dale was when he first started?
Well, do you think Dale would ever have been Dale Jr. if his dad never passed away? He had to kind of grow up after that.
Oh yeah, I mean certainly. It was basically exactly what you said.
Him and Jimmy Jam would have been partying for long periods of time.
And then Richmond. I mean, who do we like? I like Seabell for second place. I don't know who's going to win it, but Seabell's going to get second.
And anybody that has the Toyota badge on it, actually probably Toyota? Or Penske.
Well, like the standings say, Toyota or Blaney.
Blaney had a good run.
Logano's is really good at Richmond.
Yeah, we got to remember Joey just won recently. He came out of nowhere.
And Austin Dillon's won the last 2 Richmonds.
I was talking about Austin Dillon in the chat. Look, Austin Dillon's won Richmond before. It wasn't pretty, but didn't they take it away or something? But
not the win, just the points.
Right.
And the playoff spot.
All right, so the top 5 in the overall league standings, we have Connor Truman in first. Cletus is in second. Redneck Racer 80 is in third. Canadian sitting in the 4th spot. And rounding out the top 5, we have Dollars and Cents. I got to give an honorable mention because of just the name. Number 6 is Boats and Hose. Oh, and for Brad, I'll make sure we point out number 9 is also Equipe Flan Rouge. We'll make him say it when he's back next week.
Here's Brad hoping he falls out of the top 10.
Hardware is the section that always starts with Chad McNeese's ultimate hardware spreadsheet. You can go there for just about anything. He might even eventually add a tab for Mike's cool shirts.
Buckle
I'm
up.
looking at other stuff.
So the first thing we have is something that's definitely right up Mike's alley. 5 points from seat belts or from Subelts seat sim racing. They got some 5-point seat belts featured.
Yeah, I actually have a 6-point harness, believe it or not. The bottom one has 2 belts that come up into one little buckle. And so technically mine is a 6-point harness, but this is a 5-point, will work just fine. Why do you want that 5th one that goes down below your crotch? It keeps your body from the seatbelt from rising up on you. It holds it down, pulling the straps down on your shoulders. So if you're going to get belts, don't skimp out and get the 4-point. Get the 5 or the 6-point. Okay. Now it only works if you have a hole in your seat to run the 5th and 6th belt through. So right between your knees, there should be a hole or a gap, or there's a little slot, and that's where you run it up through. Look, I never regret once buying seatbelts. Not
So
once.
we're gonna cover it in more depth a little bit later, but on Daniel Morad's video, he not only just wears the seat belts, he actually puts his Hans device on because he likes the way it holds him down more comfortably with the seat belts on when he's in his rig. So not only is he running the seat belts, he's running the Hans device.
Come on,
in
Mike.
his sim rig.
Come on, Mike. Pick it
Okay,
up.
so challenge accepted.
Cool suit
I need
and
a Hans device.
And a Hans device.
Can we get any of our listeners who run any short tracks to just send us a used Hans device?
I mean, Tony Stewart threw enough of them around when he was racing. It's got to be one for the scrap pile for him.
Look, if you're going to buy some belts, get regular racing belts. Belt is a great choice. I ended up with NRG. What I recommend when you're buying belts is buy the ones that are specific for the Hans device. And what's the difference? They're 2 inches wide at the top on the shoulder versus 3. So a normal belt that's not made for Hans device is 3 inches wide going over your shoulder. Now that thicker, wider belt cuts into your neck a little bit, because it's really wide. So the reason I got the Hans device specific belt because it's 2 inches at the neck versus 3, and it's a much more comfortable feel. So definitely recommend that. But yeah, look, I think it's important that the seat belt holds your torso tight in the seat. I'm pushing hard on this brake. I'm replicating real brake pressure in a GT3, 90 or so. And so when I push on that brake hard and get to like 80%, my back is going into the seat. My butt is raising up off the seat a little bit, but the belts are holding me in and holding me still. So again, it's an immersion thing, but you should really consider belts. It's a great thing.
All right, we've got a guy looking for money. If you got 50K to throw around, he's looking for investors. You can have a talk with him. I can't translate it all. I think that's actually Portuguese. That doesn't look Spanish. But it looks like he's making his own direct drive.
Gargoyle Sim Racing, GARGUL, has posted up a video of his new little wheelbase. Kind of industrial look. He's got a Formula wheel on it, and it's also custom or new and kind of thick on the Formula wheel side. I don't know
3D
if I find that too attractive, but
Is that 3D printed rough?
maybe it is. Yeah, that's why it looks rough.
Well, it's just a rough texture that he put on the 3D print, but yeah, it's all 3D printed.
Anyway, a new wheelbase manufacturer perhaps we haven't heard of, so that's why we're looking at it.
This, well, right now this guy looks like he's working in his own garage, right? I don't think he has a full blown business yet, but that's why he's looking for investors. If you look on his Instagram, he's got a lot of different posts. He's got some round wheels there. He's got some pedals. So, particularly if you're down in South America, unless he may live up here. I guess it's hard to assume, but I'm gonna guess he might be down in Brazil, or
That's what I thought. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is Portuguese.
That might be an option if you live down in that area to work with him. Maybe even become a beta tester for him or something.
That oval wheel reminds me of the old Fanatec original CSL wheels or whatever they were.
All right. Well, next we have another Instagram post, I believe, talking about going from 10 Newton meters to 32 Newton meters. And this is, man, without spaces, it gets hard to read things. It's from Costa Tech Solutions, right?
Costa Mesa Tech Solutions.
Costa Mesa.
Right?
There we go.
He moved from the Sim Magic Alpha Mini to the V&M Extreme. Quite a jump.
Yep. He does run it at 75% strength in iRacing. And he makes the same point that Brad makes. You're not going to have it turned up so bad that you're going to end up with pie forearms, right? But what he says is that he does feel it a lot better when the wheel does have to call on extra force to communicate something to you. So he says he can definitely feel the road quicker and know what particularly the fronts are doing. And that's exactly what Brad said. If you've got more headroom, you're just able to actually feel what's going on a lot better instead of it becoming distorted and noisy.
Part of me wonders, is part of that feel that he's describing from the telemetry feedback versus the normal feedback? So remember, the V&M Extreme, it has a slider that can slide you, somewhere in the middle between those two things. The telemetry feedback is based off of effects based off the API, like brake, like anti-lock brake and those kind of things.
That would be a good question that we'd have to know if he tested it this way or the other. But yeah, anytime you increase the overhead, you're gonna be okay. I'm curious. I don't know. I can't run my Fanatec. I just have the DD1, which I think goes to 20
25.
meters. No, that's the T. The 2 goes to 25.
Oh, the 1 was 20. Yeah.
Yeah, but it goes to 20, and I cannot run it at 100%, or I actually start getting repetitive stress injury. Right, it won't hurt you on one thing, but you combine that in lifting, and my elbows were getting very mad at me, so I had to turn it down quite a bit. I remember one time one of the Indy 500s I ran many years ago. I was like, I'm going to make it feel just like an Indy car. I'm going to turn it all the way up. I made it probably 50 laps, and during a caution, decided I better turn it down because they can put out a lot of power, but having those higher levels just gives you more headroom, so that when an event does happen, you get more detail out of it.
I think it kind of boils down to me, in addition to what you just said, I want the ability to try to run the IndyCar at Indy full at 100% and feel like and see what that feels like. And so that's a reason to have a big base, just so you can try it. Look, if you buy a 12 Newton meter base, you're never going to experience that. You'll never know how hard it is to steer an actual IndyCar.
All right, professional GT3 driver Daniel Morad talks Pro Sim accessories. So in this particular video, he talked more about his accessories than the actual rig, and that's why he brought up the Hans device. I already mentioned that. He also has ambient light bars, and he was actually really pleased with those. He didn't think it would make that big of a difference, but he thinks it really increases the immersion once you get it set up correctly.
I love mine. Look, ambient lighting is one of the best things you can add to your rig.
Daytona, when you're passing all the lights in the nighttime, is amazing.
Right. You get that kind of strobe effect, right?
Now he does have with that some light grids, which are basically there to keep the light from the ambient lighting flooding onto the monitor surface. So you'll see it above your eyes, but you won't see it on the screen.
He's got some fancy stuff because he's got a roof, to do it with. Look, if on mine, I don't need no deflectors or anything. It's a very soft light it puts out, the Philips Hue. It's up quite high and it's out over the wheel. It's not, I don't see it on the screen at all.
I also like when you're going under things like bridges and stuff in the tracks, or like with shaded areas. It actually just makes everything just feel, you can feel speed a little bit differently too.
It's just part of the immersion, right? It's very subtle effect too. You go under the bridge, you don't really notice, wow, it got dark in here for a second, but your brain picks up on it, and so it's very subtle.
So the next one is really important if you have, especially if you have triple monitor setups. And we've talked about this before. I think you run one. I know Justin has the best one, right? Because his is actually signed by Tony Kanaan, and that's to have a shaft.
A steering shaft extension. Yeah, a lot of times you want to get that base back farther. Uh, so you can breathe. I mean, with the SemiCube 2 Pro, when you got to put the pin in it, you need an extender just to get the pin in and out, so you don't like tear up your hand. If there was no extension on this, it'd be really hard to get the pin in and out.
The biggie though is that it lets you get the monitor down behind the base, or well, actually in front of the base, but behind the wheel. It lets you get the monitors further down, and you can see in his video when he's talking about it, you can see where his physical wheel that he has attached, his rim, lines up with where the rim shows up on the monitor, right? So he's got the monitors in the right place. I mean, I guess you could also adjust that, but it gives you enough for that lower room. You can move the seat around if you need to, if you have your monitors higher, but it allows you to have those triples down lower. Another thing you really go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, with my triple 48s, my big triples, I can have the center monitor clear behind the wheelbase, and it goes down, like you said, behind it, below it.
So for you, the main thing the shaft gives you is the ability to get the quick release in and out a lot easier.
And I don't want the whole wheelbase and everything 6-7 inches closer to me. I want space. So it takes that whole front mounted bracket for the wheelbase and puts it back away from me. So that's another reason. Yeah.
He mentions the fourth monitor. A lot of you guys run the fourth monitor as well. He has almost all of his information up on the fourth monitor. For me, I mean, I run in VR, but I put my information under the windshield because it's easier to see, but it also still doesn't distract me. So when I'm just looking out the windshield, I don't see any of the information, but I don't have to look up really high. Now, that being said, I do have my big timing page where I can see the standings up floating above the virtual mirror. So I have a virtual fourth monitor, essentially. But yeah, fourth monitor is really important because we don't have crew chiefs or engineers, so we have to keep track of a lot of that information ourselves on what lap everybody's on and who's pitting when and who took 2 tires, who took 4 tires, all those different kind of strategies, things that you might want to know.
So what surprised me on this one, David, is that he turns off all the overlays and the relative and everything that's on the triples. He just runs them bare. And he relies completely on the fourth monitor for all extraneous information. I find that very odd. To me, I want the relative on the triples. I want the screen map. I want the tab thing with the speed differences. I want all that stuff in front of me, not on the fourth monitor. I want it on both.
So you don't have to look as far, but do bear in mind he drives a real race car, so that probably is a lot more distracting to him than it is to us being more used to having all those overlays in place. Though I put all mine out of view essentially, except for the like the caution stuff when it comes up and it's telling you pass this person or etc. That pops up right on the windshield. But I just have it all down where the dashboard would be, because I basically replace, instead of using the dashboard in-game dashboard on each of the wheels, I use JRT's dashboard for all of them, and I just always put that on top of the wheel and put everything down there out of the way. So he does at least have that information on, because he has his wheel turned on. Of course, he's in triple, so he can see his wheels have displays as well, so he can get some of his information. So that's probably just more what he's accustomed to being a real driver. Then he covers button boxes, stream decks, and magnetic mounts for his phone, places to hold your drinks, and one of the final things he talks about has me curious to try. I wonder if he'll have any actually. I don't know how they feel about letting you test socks, but he recommends, he has a racing sock, because regular socks, once you get a really tough brake, like a hydraulic or an active brake, they're just too soft. But for him, he wants a little bit more feel when he's indoors. So the shoe covers his feel up too much, the sock's too soft. So his racing sock is kind of sort of in between. And I would really be curious what that's like.
I have that. I got a free pair of racing socks when I bought my sim gloves from Radness. They're matching yellow like my gloves. They have this little grippy kind of rubberish thing kind of sewn into the bottom of the sock, and that's what he's talking about. And I do wear those racing occasionally.
So do they actually add a little bit more padding than a regular sock?
They
Is it?
do. They
Okay, yeah.
do. It's subtle. It's not a big difference in a regular sock. Um, And look, if I already have regular socks on, I don't take the time to switch to them. But if I'm out not in socks and I'm about to race, I'll purposely put those on. So I'll do it when it's convenient, basically. But I'm not running them every time I sit down.
We got time for one more, you think? Do you have
All
one
right.
you specifically want to hit?
Let me look at the list. Well, let's talk about the Corsair one. We heard last week that Corsair bought Track Racer after buying Fanatec earlier this year. Um, we've had some more information. The Rush Hour Garage uh, posted up a article that indicated that Track Racer was bought for $50 million, 40 million in cash now, plus a further 10 million earnout should performance targets be met. Wow, the guy who built Track Racer, the owner, the CEO, whoever it is, boy, he made out well, didn't he? 40 million in cash? I
That's
didn't
one
think
of the
it
things
was
you
worth
eventually
that
do.
much.
It's one of the things you eventually do when you build a business. If you don't have anybody that you want to pass it down to, is you cash out and you're on. That's your nest egg. One of the things that somebody said in chat was that they thought the prices would go up and that this would reduce competition. But I don't. I'm not really sure this is taking anybody off the market so much, is it? There's still going to be building. It's still going to be this company building rigs. It's just going to be a part of Corsair and Fanatec. And Corsair didn't really have a solid rig market share either. Neither did Fanatec.
I think the value add here for the consumer is I can go to, I guess you'd call it Corsair, and get a full solution. I can buy the rig, I can buy the equipment, I can buy everything from the same company. And so there's some value in that instead of piecing it together from various sources.
All right, let's talk results.
All right, that's NIS NASCAR iRacing Series Friday Open Iowa. Yes, I got a P4. Added, I had a fast car. Went up through the field a couple times. I settled in P4 near the end on the green white checker. I actually restarted third. Ended up finishing P4. We will take it after having a bunch of bad runs recently. Nice to get a nice top five. David, P11.
Yeah, there was a lot more cautions in this one. The Wednesday we only had two. This one had a whole lot, and I just didn't get the right roll of dice on when to have the fresh tires at the end, and so I got caught up in a four wide. I never really watched the replay to see who caused the spin because it was four wide. It very very rarely do the pros even survive the four wides. Um, did the best I could to hold the lane though. Then I came back from 20th after I don't know if I fixed the damage or not. It wasn't terrible, and came back from 20th to 11th. But that was all I could get in that short amount of time.
Kyle Pendergraph, P3. Joe Owen, P17. Sunday Open, Iowa. Tony Rochette, P19. Was fast again, just caught in some bull. Moving to Richmond, Wednesday Open. I wrecked out. I started towards the back. I moved my way up pretty darn quick. I missed the first big caution, weaving my way through there without hitting anything. Man, the car was a bullet. I made it up to the top five. I was running P2 almost at halfway when I just spun it coming off onto the backstretch. All of a sudden, it just went around on me. I overcorrected, of course, and got T-boned, 13 minutes damage, DNF. Tony Rochette, P, forgot Richmond was a caution fest. I won some free tickets to Berlin Raceway and used
Forget
them for the
Richmond.
battle. What's
Forget
that?
Richmond. Forget Richmond. He said forget Richmond, not forgot. He didn't forget. He said forget Richmond.
Oh, I get it.
That's
Okay.
important context there.
I
He
just read
skipped.
it.
He skipped Richmond. Well, you read O instead of a T. Sorry to be picky. Yeah, he said forget Richmond. I'm going to a race. He won tickets to Berlin. Go ahead.
Yeah, so he went to Berlin and used them for the Battle of Berlin and some very good super late model action. Imagine being in a short track race and only having one caution for the first 200 laps with a wide SOF. iRacing, we really need Berlin scanned in the service. Mike, remember the name Tristan McKee, the 16-year-old that whooped Bubba Pollard, Ty Majeski, and Carson Hocevar. David, P22.
Yeah, this one is one I blew completely. Had a top five car, really good on the long run. After we got a caution after that first long run, I sped the pits, went all the way to the back, got damaged, getting caught up in something, fixed it, got back up to seventh. But we kept having cautions every 2 or 3 laps, and I'm just not, I just not terribly great on the short run, and was fighting, and I wiggled, barely overcorrected to the right, bounced off of Drew Blaze. I hope it didn't hurt him too bad. And I bounced off of him, hit the inside wall, and then just limped around with 7 minutes of damage for like the last 15 minutes. Just racing hard, and I blew it. Racing hard at the right time. I think I was faster than Drew in the long run, but I just could not complete the pass in the 2 laps we were getting every run.
Then Thursday Open, P11.
Yeah, this was top split. We had a 10,000 I rating in there. I was like car 27. 19 cautions. Might have had a top 10, but again, right at the end, I just kept, even though I had fresher tires, I had some trouble passing a couple of guys because we'd get 1 or 2 laps, and I just could not work them in that 1 or 2 laps.
All right. Ringmeister. This week is the Ligier JSP 320. It's like an old prototype with a right seated drive. And I sucked. Started 8th, fell to 11th. I was going the wrong way. People kept running into the back of me like I was going slow. I hit the wall at one point. Maybe that's why. But while I was slow, about the middle of lap 2, I had 17 incident points and DQ'd out. Ouch. Next started 9th. They ran in the front of me they wrecked in front of me before turn one. They had me stopped and I was blocked in. I had to literally wait for everybody in the field to go by. So I was dead last before I got to turn one. Basically, after that, worked my way up to finish P15. Next race, started ninth, wrecked out on my own. Next race, started second, wrecked out on my own. I cannot drive this car. I don't know what it is. Sometimes it turns and sometimes it doesn't. And it's not like I'm not turning the wheel. I'm doing the same damn thing I did the corner before, but this corner it won't turn. I don't understand how this car works. Anyway, super frustrated with that because I usually can win in that race and I'm not able to. And that's it. No other result.
IMSA.
IMSA. All right, go ahead, David. P1.
Yeah, man. P1 by 0.001. Definitely the closest finish I've ever had. Greg had me check to see if I had won the award already for the photo finish, and that photo finish only has to be within 0.05. But this was 0.001, and in fact, when I look at the replay, the guy was in front of me. So somehow I don't know if our transponders are in different locations or what.
It's where the internet perceives your car.
Yeah, it may have been a net code thing because on my screen he was in front, but he may have been behind me on his screen. So yeah, it was rough. I was running in the lead, and I had one last little slip up that let him get right to me, and we were just coming side by side, and you cannot block in these cars. You'll just, it's against the sporting code for one thing, and if they so I just had to I stayed on the yellow line, and he came to the outside, and it was close. Most exciting finish ever.
So did you get the achievement then?
I already had the achievement.
You already had it?
I've had it since 2016.
Well done. Good win. Look, anytime you win an IMSA race, that's a pretty big deal. All right, final thoughts, Greg Hectus.
Just like last time I was on, just still looking forward to the Sim Expo. I didn't want to race. I was fiddling around with the computer the other day. I was gonna race Iowa Sunday morning, and I was like, yeah, I don't have everything set up, and I didn't feel totally comfortable to come back for a track that I didn't have a bunch of experience on. So I will hopefully race this weekend at Richmond since I'm off. It's my weekend off, so hopefully I can get back in the sim and get some laps done.
Do it. Get back in the car. David Hall, final thought.
So a few weeks ago, we had the Indy incident with the pace car and the fuel saving and all that. The pace cars are broken, and it's been really exacerbated and noticeable these last three races. At Iowa, 75% of the time, if I was in the middle of the field and a caution came out where the pace car, where we were basically in turn two, we would not, even though none of us had stopped, not able to get formed up. And by the time the pace car was around the pit lane entry, so we were doing green flag stops under caution. And the same thing is happening this week at Richmond. All right, it's the pace car needs to wait on the leader. It causes all kinds of problems. It causes people to have to race back. It causes other people to get mad if somebody's a little bit slow getting back. Causes people to get penalties. It causes people to miss the pit lane. Yikes. Make it a priority, please, please, please.
Look, what's frustrating for me about that topic is the people that won't catch up to the field. Look, I can see in the relative, okay, the top 10 caught the pace car, and the guy in 11th is 4 seconds back. Okay, but this is a short track. Why is he 4 seconds back, holding back everybody behind him from catching the pace car? Because one guy is just rolling around.
Now, maybe, or he was 4 seconds back when the yellow came out, and everybody else was further up and has caught the pace car, and he's going nearly full speed to catch up and still hadn't caught up. He shouldn't be having to go full speed to catch up. He shouldn't. We should not have to race back to the pace car.
Good point. The dynamic would be a lot different if the pace car picked up the leader. All right, so my final thoughts. I was watching Dauntless Racing, who's going to be at the Sim Gaming Expo. I was watching one of his videos, and he talked about how easy it is to convert a sim rig into a flight rig by adding a joystick on the right, but put it farther back so when you put your seat back with the seat slider, you can reach the joystick on the right. Then have the throttle thingy on the left side, and then put the little rudder things on the floor down in front of your sim racing pedals. And so when he said that out loud and I saw the picture of it, it kind of clicked in my head. I could probably do this. I could attach that to my rig that way. I
That's one
could
way.
put that on the floor.
I have a way as well. I added a shelf that slides out, and I set my stick and HOTAS on the shelf. I just take the wheel off, and then it's sitting right in front of me, and then the shelf gets out of the way when I'm racing, so I don't have to move my seat.
That's not a bad idea too. I could potentially even do a sliding shelf. Um, Look, it just presents ideas because I've always thought about getting into flight sim, but I haven't. And so as I go to the Flight Sim Gaming Expo, I'm gonna look deeper at those kind of products and see how would I mount it? What would I have to buy? And just kind of chew on the idea a little bit. Second topic for final thought, motion. We got the Moza motion system for $300. It's tip of my mind. I'm on the fence. Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? Should I take the 3 grand and do something else with it? Should I put it in the stock market? Look, if my car broke down today, my regular car, I go to the store in, and it needed $3,000 work, I wouldn't hesitate. I would just do it. It's just the cost of having a car. And so, am I willing to put 3 grand into my hobby? I am. If I look back at when I bought the big triples, they cost 3 grand. I bought the new computer, that was 4 grand. I bought those all at once. I've spent 7 grand all at once. Now, what did I buy after that? The pedals. I paid about 1,500 for the pedals. I bought a $400 dash. And so, what's next to make this hobby better? I really think I'm going to do the motion. I'm kind of leaning towards I might do it. So that's where I'm at. Spend Mike's money. We'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas. We have four. I like number